you are. Praise Almighty Yah. Praise Almighty Yah. Thank you, Cisco. All right. So listen, everyone. Welcome back. This is not going to be a long class. Today is going to be a real good one, though. Hallelujah. Well, let me share my screen with you right quick. Get your pen and paper handy, and let's go. All right. Feel free to ask any questions. That's why I'm here. Guess what? I don't have all the answers. But whatever I don't know, I'm going to go find out. So don't let any error on my part be something that you look and say, almost like this guy, just take it with a grain of salt. This week's Torah portion was called Tazria. Tazria. Okay, some people call it Tazria, but it's really Tazria. And Tazria has to do with, somebody tell me, what does Tazria have to do with?
Conceiving?
Conceiving. Good job. Yeah, it has to do with conception. So I was asking myself, okay, so Tazria is talking about conception, which is only found in chapter number 12 of the book of Vayikra, which is Leviticus. It's only a few verses. And it explains the process in which when a woman, conceives, and when she produces, and when she brings forth a child, whether it be a male or a female, and what are the procedures in which she has to go through. And then chapters 13 and 14 are dealing with that something else that's conceived, right? And they call that zazarat or zara'at, which has to do with leprosy. Okay, so the connection between conceiving and leprosy they're connected. That's the reason why they're in the Torah portion. That's why they've isolated this portion for that. Okay, and so we're going to go a little bit into that today. Now, this is not part of your Torah portion, but it's something that has to relate to it. And what's relating to it is this. It says this in the book of Job. And Job, his name means enemy. Okay. It says, how can those born of a woman be clean? How can those of a woman be clean? That's either male or female. How can they be clean? And why, before him, even the moon lacks brightness and the stars themselves are not pure? The stars are not pure before the Most High. The stars, the moon doesn't have enough brightness. That which is born of a woman cannot come to this earth without having some type of uncleanness placed upon them. The woman herself is unclean during this process of her childbirth. Okay, so this is something that was spoken in the book of Job, and it's pretty telling because I always ask the Christians, and you can use this, you should write this down. Did Christ have uncleanness? And they say, no, he was perfect. He's the Son of God. Well, I asked them, was he born of a woman? They say, yes, he was born of a woman, right? Is he born of a woman? Yes, he was. Well, if he's born of a woman, then how could he be clean? He actually had to have some type of uncleanness transmitted to him when he was born. So the idea behind this scripture right here is to set the foundation that Yah is letting us know that I'm not like you. Nothing that I've ever made it's not going to ever be able to be compared to me, right? So the moon, even the moonlight lacks brightness. The moon, it might shine, but it doesn't have the brightness that I have. It doesn't have the purity that I have. No man has the purity that I have. So if you and I are engaged in this relationship with the Most High, we have to understand that everything, all the way from the heavens, all the way down into the earth and beneath the earth, is less than. Everything is less than the Most High. Okay, so we shouldn't get fascinated with the stars, and neither should we be fascinated with the stars in Hollywood or the stars in the heavens. And even looking at the celestial things that the Most High has made and thinking for some reason or another that they can exalt themselves to the Most High. Even the stars are not pure. So you shouldn't feel bad when you read something like, how can those born of a woman be clean? Because every one of us were born of a woman. And when we came here in uncleanness. And even while we're in our exile right now, we're still in a state of uncleanness. We're not pure. You see? This Torah portion is talking about conception, like Lucas had brought out. It's talking about that. And it's the conception of a seed that was planted by a man into a field, which is the woman. And the seed is talking about something that needs to be produced, okay? That is going to be produced. But also, too, it has to do with the protection of the seed, right? So the Most High is concerned with the seed. He's concerned about how this family is going to grow. He's concerned about the individuals that are going to be multiplying. And that's another reason why I put that scripture there about the stars, because the Most High said the children of Israel should number the stars. So again, making the comparison between the children of Israel and the stars, he says the children of Israel are not clean, and neither is the stars, okay? But Yah is concerned about the seed. He's concerned about the protection of the seed, okay? The continuation of the family, okay? And ultimately, the seed has to do with life. So Yah wants to produce the seed, right? He gives the ability to produce it. He gives the ability to protect it, because what he's after is to protect life. And the only way that you can protect life is through what? Through the Most High's laws, his statutes, and his commandments, okay? The way that we protect this life, the way that we protect this seed, okay, in this context here, the seed is dealing with the humanity, okay, but it also can be extended to that seed that which is planted into the ground, that, you know, for food, right? This right here is talking about is being set apart. This is what the Most High is saying. So when he opens it up and he tells Moshe, he says, speak to the children of Israel and tell them, when a woman has a child, you know, she shall be unclean for 7 days. And if it's a male, you know, 7 days, and then she's going to go into her process of impurity. I'm concerned about the people that are going to be producing the seed, okay? So now this going back to us in nature, right? That's what the Hebrew culture is about. So I want to set this seed apart because I want to protect it, okay? And so through the protection part, it has to be set apart. When you set the seed apart, it's for the purpose of being purified. I need to purify the sons and the daughters of Israel. They have to remain in a state of purification. But as Yah has made us know, or has revealed to us, that nobody that's born of a woman is ever going to be clean. So it tells us something about the Most High. He's not going to punish and put us to death because of our uncleanness. Our uncleanness brings upon what they call tameh, right? Which leads to what they call sin, right? So we're missing the mark, and the mark is the holiness of Yah. That's what we're missing. We're missing the holiness of Yah. As we've been talking about, you know, the arrows and shooting them and missing the mark, we're missing that kadoshness of Yah. And Yah is trying to get us to hit it and to understand it. And so that, you know, when we talk about the book of Leviticus, we're talking about the Torah. He says, this is the Torah of a woman who has a child. So the seed has to be purified. Okay. I want to bring out something that I discovered about Dawid, okay, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But how do we get that set apartness? How do we get that purity? Because this word clean in Hebrew is called tahor, and tahor means purity. And so the purity of Yahweh is, the fear of Yahweh is clean, is pure. That's what it is tahor. The same word that's being used here is the same word that is required of the individual that's living within the confines of Yah's camp. So you can't live with Yah, you can't abide with Yah, you can't dwell with Yah if you don't have this fear, okay? This word fear right here is called yirah, and yirah means to point, okay? So the Most High is letting us know that when I talk about the fear of me, I'm not talking about you just shaking in your boots while you're in the camp and you just, you know, always petrified about me breaking out and killing everybody in fire like we did last week. What I'm talking about is for you to be pointing. I need to point you, okay? The fear of Yah is the pointing of Yahweh, and the pointing of Yahweh brings you to a place of purity. I'm going to bring you to a place of cleanliness. That's Yah's desire. Because if you and I are going to be a set apart people and we're going to be with Yahweh who is set apart, you and I have to be clean. We have to be tahor. Even though we'll go through our process of uncleanness, Yah says, I'm going to bring you to a place of cleanness. Will you always remain clean? No. But if you fear Yahweh and you allow Yahweh to point you, I'm going to point you to this. I'm going to point you to being clean. Okay. A lot of people don't want to come to Yah. They don't want Yah to point the finger and tell them where to go. Okay, so that's what the fear of Yahweh is. The fear of Yahweh is a finger that's directly pointing to purity. That's what the goal is. This is what he expects of the priest. This is what he expects. There's an expectation for his sons, the Kohanim sons. This is an expectation for the children of Israel. This is an expectation for the people who are born in uncleanness. I'm going to restore you to this place. Okay, so while you're in your uncleanness right now, I need you to understand that the only way that you're ever going to come back to this is by fearing me and letting me point you. So you and I right now are being pointed, okay, to the purity of Yah. Okay, so we're in an exile, we get a little discouraged and say, well, I'm unclean. You keep telling me how unclean, I'm unclean, I'm unclean. And you're hurting my feelings because I want to be clean. Yeah, of course, Yah knows we want to be clean. But you and I cannot obtain this cleanliness through any man. You can't. There's no way that you and I are ever going to get back to Yah through a man. You're never going to get back to him through listening to what a man says. You're never going to get back to him through trusting in what a man says or putting your confidence in a man or a woman or a religion. Okay. You can't, or a philosophy. Okay. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter how smart you are. None of that stuff matters. What we're talking about is we're dealing with the creator of the heavens and the earth, and the purity in which he's talking about is different than what the humans or human beings or the nations today consider to be pure. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so the prayer of Dawid, King Dawid, is found in Tehillim 51. Okay, and it was interesting when I read this because I was doing my study. I was looking at a whole bunch of other books. I was looking at Nehemiah, Ezra, and I'm looking at how they were going through what they were going through their exile, and how the people came back, and how the priests, how they defiled themselves by being married to foreign women. And, they fell away from the Most High. They lifted themselves up over the commandment. And that's a danger for us, right? So when I read this, again, I've read Psalms 51 plenty of times, but I saw something different in this in particular time when I read it. And that's the beauty of the Torah, because what the Torah does, everyone, it opens you up to expand your mind to greater thought. And it brings you on a whole nother level. Dawid says, true, I was born. It's said here in iniquity, right? I was born in iniquity, right? Awon. I wanted to put the proper word right there. Dawid said, and he's using poetic language, I was born twisted. What do you mean twisted? Was he, turning around in his mother's womb? Was he, what I'm saying? What was he? Yeah, he was. He wasn't just standing still when a child is in the womb of a woman. It's not just standing still. It's moving. It's twisting. It's turning. So Dawid is using this, but he uses the word awon, meaning iniquity, in comparison to just as a normal child would twist. So he's saying perversion and twistiness is a normal part of who I am. Listen. He said, I was a sinner from the moment my mother conceived me. His mother did not conceive him just what they would say out of love. In the Hebrew, it talks about she got hot, just like any other animal. They go through a time of where they get heated. When the animals get hot, they mate. So he says, my mother conceived me when she got hot, right? Still, you want truth in the inner person. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, he says, I was born twisted. I was born in perversion. I was a sinner from the moment my mother conceived me. We found in Job that I'm not clean, right? So these are honest, responses to the creator. He's just pouring himself out to the Most High. And he says, still, you want truth. You want that which is true and sure in the inner person. Now, in context, he's praying after he committed the sin of adultery and murder, right? And he said, you still want truth in the inward person. So make me know wisdom in my inmost heart. This inner person, everybody, is the secret places. That's the secret that he says in not the inner person, the hidden part of me. See, and he's only able to have this prayer and this request to the Most High and this coming out and being honest about who he is when he discovered what was in his inner being, with the hidden parts of him. And when we deny that we have this innermost person or this hidden part of us, these secret places, these little crevices that things are hidden in, we're going to have a problem. We're going to end up doing what he did. Dawid wrote this because I didn't have a slide on it, but he says, restore me so I can teach sinners your way so they won't make the mistake that I've made. Continue to teach me and give me wisdom in my inmost heart, in my mind. Not the intellectual mind, my inmost heart, to who I really am. Okay. So what we're dealing with is the inner person, and that's the basis of our Torah portion. Okay. Because it all starts with this birth. It all starts with this conception. Okay. So he says, purify me. Purify me. And it was interesting because he uses the word hyssop, right? He uses hyssop as his purification. He says, hey, give me the hyssop, right? And I will be clean. That means I'll be tahor. I'll get to this place of purity that you want me to be. So I'm requesting that you would do this because this is something that I cannot do myself. He's asking Yah to wash him, and I will be whiter than the snow. Now, remember the context is, he said, I was born this way. But even though I was born, he's going through the process of when he was born. Okay. And so as he's going through this, he's letting them know. And he says, let me hear. And listen, I want you to remember when he said, purify me with hyssop. Okay. And I will be clean. He says, let me hear the sound of joy and gladness so that the bones that you crushed can rejoice and turn away your face from my sins and blot out all my crimes and create in me a tahor heart, inner authority within me that's going to be tahor, that's going to be pure. Elohim, renew in me a resolute spirit. When I saw this and I read it and I saw the term that he used right here about hyssop, it reminded me of Zazarat. This is to be the law, the Torah concerning the person afflicted with Zazarat on the day of his purification. Just like what Dawid said, I want to be pure. He said he is to be brought to the Kohen, and the Kohen is to go outside the camp and examine him there. If he sees that the Zazarat sores have been healed in the afflicted person, the Kohen will order that 2 living birds be taken, for one to be purified, and along with the cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop leaves. Dawid, when he was talking about his asking Yah to purify him, he was letting us know that there was something in the inside of him that was equivalent to Zazarat. Zazarat comes from within. Our problems are from within. So when he's having this prayer, he's saying there's things in me, and he's asking, look, he couldn't go to a Kohen. Listen to me and listen to me carefully. He couldn't go to a Kohen for this. Okay? Because on the outside of Dawid, he didn't have any sores. On the outside, Dawid looked perfectly normal. It said that he was ruddy. It said that he was a beautiful man. He was glorious looking. But he couldn't go to a Kohen for this. So why is Yah sharing this with us? Why is Dawid sharing this with us? He's sharing this with us because he understood something that you and I need to understand. He's talking about the process of what the priest would have to do for a person who needed to be clean, that you see right here in Vayikra, chapter number 14. This is for a person who has Zazarat. Dawid is mentioning this to Yah to purify him with hyssop and to make him clean, because what he has is what you would call an eternal Zazarat. That's what he has, which cannot be seen. And he didn't have a priest to be able to look at him and declare to him to be clean or unclean. So instead of him going, because he doesn't have anybody on the earth to look at him and tell it what it is, he had to go to Yah. And Yah was the one who revealed it to him. It came out of him. And that's what Yah's telling us. I don't need you to have a Kohanim right now. The Kohanim have broken Yah's laws. They have gone against what he said. His kings have abandoned what he said. They have done harm to the Torah. I don't need you to look for a Kohanim right now. I need you to come to me. I want you to do what your king has done. This is the reason why I'm going to put him back in office. Because he understood the relationship that I and he had. Do you want to know the reason why the Most High asked for the woman to bring a dove, a turtle dove, or a pigeon? Do you want to know the reason why? For a sin offering or an olah? You want to know why? Somebody tell me, why does the Most High choose a dove? Just take a guess. What is the characteristic of a dove?
Peaceful.
It's peaceful, right?
Pure.
It's pure. Listen, it's a clean bird that he said you can use. But guess
Doves mate forever.
there you go. There you go. That's the answer. They're monogamous. They mate forever. They're only interested in one mate. They're not with a whole bunch of other birds. They're not jumping from one place to the next. That's why Dawid uses it all the time. He said, I wish I was a dove that I could fly away, but he understands that it's that intimacy. It's that bonding with Yah forever. That's the reason why he chose the dove. This is the reason why Dawid is saying to the Most High, I need you to do this in me. He uses the word create right here. It's the same word that's used at the beginning of time when Yah created everything. He's asking Yah to fill me. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. This is not magic. I want you to fill me with a clean tahor mind. I want you to do something that the priest can't do. They can't do that for me. You're not supposed to look to no man to do this for you. You're supposed to look to Yah. And at this moment, while we're in our exile, Yah is going to do this for us. He's going to purify us if you and I are willing to ask for it. Why did he use the word hyssop? What's so significant about hyssop? What's so significant about it? It's called azov. Why azov? Listen, I'm going to take a brief pause here, and I'm going to tell you about hyssop right quick, so you can understand it. Okay? Here it is. I looked it up. I was like, I wonder how much hyssop costs. Somebody tell me what that costs right there. What is that? In the red.
$74,261.99.
Okay, so look to the right of that, and what was the price before they gave you the savings?
$99,807.99.
That's for 400 pounds of hyssop. 400 pounds of hyssop is close to $100,000. How valuable is hyssop? How valuable is it? It's very, very valuable. Okay. Going back to the presentation.
And that's the price in an unclean land.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. Thank you. Somebody's on it. Look, the hyssop, Yah says that I want you to get Dawid asked for the hyssop. He's asking for the element or the oil of the plant that can purify, that has some purification value to it, right? The first time the hyssop is used when Yah told the children of Israel to dip hyssop inside of the blood and put the blood over the doorpost on their house for Pesach. That's the first time it's mentioned. So it's a big deal, okay? It's connected to that, right? Because that's the first time it's used, right? So when he's asking Yah to purify him, he's asking Yah to create in him, he's asking Yah for him to fill him with a different type of mindset, okay? But let me explain to you what hyssop is from a Hebraic biblical perspective, okay? A Hebraic perspective, agricultural perspective. Forgive me for biblical. It comes from the word zav, which is a Zion and a bet, okay? That's what these two letters are, right? You haven't been in my Hebrew class, so it's okay. I'm going to teach you This word right here is called Zayin. Zayin. Okay. Zayin or Zayin. Okay. This right here is called a bet. Like, hey, I want to go place a bet this week. Okay. I want to go gamble and put a bet. Right. All right. But they mean something. Right. These are the names. Right. And this is the aleph right here. That's a parent. I mean, the child root. So it's 3 letters is a child, 2 letters is the parent. So this is the parent. Remember, we're talking about conception. We're talking about something being produced. We're talking about something that needs to be protected. We're talking about something that causes life. Listen to this. The Zayin has to do with a harvest. This letter right here was used for an agricultural tool, okay? Like a spade or a hoe that would cut the harvest. So this is about cutting the harvest, okay? The bait right here is like the tent, which they used to live in the ancient times, okay? So these are agricultural things. You got the tent and you have this madak, okay, which they would use to cut the grain, okay? So when you put those two together, it gives you something. It gives you an understanding about hyssop, okay? Hyssop is a plant. So why are you telling me about the harvest? Because hyssop is a plant, okay? So we're talking about the harvest of the house, right? So the harvest of the house, I want you to keep that in your mind as we move forward. The word again is a azov, which is called hyssop, okay? Again, not only is it a plant, not only is it called hyssop, but it gets its color yellow from the harvest because that's the color of the grain. That's the color, is literally gold. And that's why they have the word hazav for gold. That's the name for gold. Hazav is the name for gold, okay? Or excuse me, not hazav, zahav, sorry. Z-A-H-A-V. Zahav is gold, okay, which has the same letter, the Zion right here and the bet right here. They, of course, they're going to be in a V sound, but it's really a bet, okay, Zahav. And Zahav gets its color gold from the harvest because that's the color of the wheat, the barley, the grain. It's all gold when you look at the fields, okay? So we give this idea of yellow, right? Yellow gold. And then, of course, because something that is yellow and gold, you get this word issue. So anything that's issuing out yellow, what would you say that, what fluid is that? What do they call that? Yellow fluid that's oozing out of something. What is that?
Oil.
It's oil, but also too is pus. In your Torah portion, Most High said, I want the priest to look for a yellow. I need you to look for a yellow, right? A yellow hair. And I need you to see if something is issuing, because some of the sores that they had, it was issues and pus was coming out, okay? So this is another reason why in chapter number 14 of Vayikra, he says, I need you to go get the azov. I need you to go get the azov because what we want to do is we want to heal this, okay? This is how you get purified, okay? So whatever is found inside of the azov, which is the plant, which is the hyssop, is there to deal with this, okay? To make sure that it doesn't come out anymore, right? So while they're going through this time of infection, this stuff is coming out. So there is a direct connection between the hyssop and the issue of the pus that's coming out of the person. The pus has to stop and the issue has to stop. Then you can use the azov. The azov is not the magic sauce. You don't get to the azov, okay? So when we put this together, when you're looking at this, what it is, this is the Zion or Zayin, and this is the bet. The bet is the tent which is inside. So what we're talking about is the harvest that's inside. Okay. So if something is, so if the pus is coming out and it's yellow, right? What it is something's harvesting. Something is inside. And that is called reaping. So when David was saying what he was saying to the Most High and asking him, David had understood that guess what? There was something that I harvested. There was something inside of me, and I'm reaping the results of what's inside of me. And that's what you and I need to be careful of. Because today you would think that you don't have Zazarat, or there's no way that you can get it. And I'm going to tell you why people got Zazarat. I'm going to tell you the effects of it. Okay. Just to kind of recap what you probably learned during this week. But the point that I want to bring out to you is that there's a harvest inside. There's a reaping that's going inside. Okay. And that which is on the inside has to do what? It has to come on the outside. Okay. The Most High gave us a Torah. He gave us instructions in regards to skin in chapters number 12, 13, excuse me. Not the skin. No, 13 and 14. Okay. So you ask, well, why are there instructions for the skin? Why is there instructions for the skin? Because the skin is your covering. By trade, I am a certified, what they call esthetician by trade. That's one of my many talents that I have. I'm a skin therapist. Okay. Your skin is your number one organ. Your skin is living. Your skin has to protect you from outside things. Okay. Your skin protects you from the outside diseases and stuff. Your skin does have absorption in it. Your skin does have reflection in it from against sun rays. Okay. Depending on how much melanin you have in your skin. Your skin is there to protect all your organs. Your skin there is to protect you from infection, is to protect you from a lot of different things. Your skin has instructions that it has. It goes through cycles. Your skin goes through cycles of 7. When you're first born, your skin cycles off every 7 days. It's called a cell renewal factor, a CRF. Okay, cell renewal factor. Okay, so these cells are dying off every 7 days. When you're a child, then when you get into your teenage years, it moves from 7 days to 14 days. So it doubles up. Then as the older you get, it starts going by 7s. The older you get, it goes by 7. So instead of it leaving off in 14 days, it might be 28 days, and then it goes to 48 days. And it, you know what I mean? So it just keeps multiplying. You have the multiples. And in skincare, what they want to do is they want you to get back to the 7-day cycle. So they create all these different products and services to cause you to get things cycled off, you know, to get rid of the dead cells, right? In order, so you can have healthy looking skin, right? So they create products for that in order to get you back to the 7-day cycle. Because if your skin comes off every 7 days, you will start looking young. You'll look young again. You'll look like a child. Okay. People ask me all the time, and I tell them my age, they're like, I can't believe you're that. You look very young. Why? Because I'm eating the right things, and I take care of my skin. Okay. Skincare is huge. Okay. But this is not a lesson on aesthetics. It's talking about the skin with the Torah, the instructions. I would recommend that you would, and just on a side note, that you would take care of your skin. I want you to take care of your skin. Okay. That is something that the Most High just wants you to take care of. And you do that through nutrition. You do that through skincare. So find a skincare regimen. Don't wash your face with stuff. I said, don't be religious. Just tell them the truth. Don't wash your skin with stuff that's abrasive or that can burn you. Find something you should wash your face. If you want some tips, stay after class and I'll give it to you. Okay. Well, there's Torah, there's instructions. All right. So the Most High is given instructions about this because why? You're living with him and I want you to live a certain way. Okay. So Yahweh said to Moshe, order the people of Israel to expel from the camp everyone with Zazarat, as everything that has to do with their skin. Everyone with a discharge, that's that pus, or everyone or whoever is unclean because of touching a corpse. Okay. Both male and female, you must expel, put them outside the camp so that they won't defile their camp where I live among you. Okay. A lot of us think, well, this doesn't apply to us because we're not in the camp and Yah doesn't live among us. Well, that's true. That is true. But Yah still wants you to get the Torah. He still wants you to understand why he's putting the people out. Just telling somebody to get out and go live outside the camp is just not good enough. You have to take the time to explain to them why, okay? Those in the corpse is dead, that, there's something about a dead body. Yah says, I don't want you to take it. It makes you unclean. Zazra makes you unclean. You have an infection. You have an infection and you need to be isolated. I don't want it to spread. That's what it's about. The skin, you guys, has the ability to send out messaging. It's a central messaging center, okay? So your skin tells you what type of, if it's cold, it tells you what it's hot. It regulates your temperature for you. That's why you get goosebumps to say, hey, it's time. It heats itself up. It's very intelligent. Actually, they say that it's the most intelligent organ that you have. It's very intelligent. It's all directly connected. It's a messaging center. Why is this important for us to know? Because skin will send you a message. And what the skin is going to do is it's a reflection of what's going on the inside. Think back when we just read about what Dawid was saying, there was things that were hidden inside of him. Dawid didn't have pus on the outside, but Dawid had pus on the inside. See? And that's what Yah is trying to get us to understand. He's trying to get us to understand that you might have a different opinion about yourself when you look in the mirror. But there's things about you that I know that you're unclean. That's why we can't afford to be religious. We have to look at what's going on internally. Okay. So your skin is a reflection of what's going on the inside. That's why the Most High has brought upon this zazarat or this leprosy or this pus or this raw skin or these scabs and all these different types of things that you read in your Torah portion. Because guess what? If you're religious, you would say, well, that don't apply to me. Christ came and died for me, so I don't have to worry about that. All I got to do is go get a great cleanser or go to a dermatologist, and I'm going to be fine. Side note, just to let you know, there was things in your Torah portion that talked about how you would get bumps on your forehead and raise white spots. Those are called acne spots, okay? Right? So acne is a form of zazarat in a sense, okay? It could spread. It does spread. Your acne can spread from one place to the next just by you touching it. As a skincare professional, I'll tell you, if you, what they call pop a zit in the pus or whatever, the uncleanness comes out of that, it pours off into your skin. Your skin has these cells. So if you got an infection, and I just want to put it here, every square inch of your, just say this right here is a square inch, okay? There's a 1 square inch. 1 square inch, okay? Every square inch of your skin, just say this is it right here. You have an infection, a zit or something going on right here, right? What's going to happen is if you do anything to it, it erupts, it's going to spill off into this one, and this one, okay? You have thousands and what they would call pores. You have thousands of pores in where your hair comes out of. But if you touch one of these, it can spread to this and it can spread and it can just keep proliferating. It can keep going, okay? Every square inch, you can look it up. You have thousands of pores, thousands of hairs. You can't even count the number of the hairs that you got on your head. That's how perfect it is, okay? But your skin, if it gets infected, it can spread. And that's the part about what the Most High was talking about in his Torah portion. What he's talking about is that this eruption or this uncleanness can spread. This is the reason why he's asking for isolation, right? So again, your skin is a reflection of what's going on the inside, right? And with some of the things that are going on the inside, you will find only through when it comes out of your skin. Okay, so the Most High is using your skin to tell you, he's using your skin to communicate, he's using your skin to talk to them, okay? And he's using our skin right now to tell us what it is, right? You get a rash or whatever. So what does the skin mean? That's a good question. The skin in Hebrew is called or, okay? Not the or that has to do with light. There's a word called or, which has to do with light. In the beginning, the Most High said, let there be or. That's the or. Here's another or. Okay? There's another or. So what's the difference between that or and this or? So you got Hebrew words that sound exactly alike, but they're spelled differently. This one has a ayin and this has an aleph. Okay? It's called see the man. That's what your skin is, to see the man. See a man. And that could be a woman too, because a man consists of both male and female. So in this word right here, or, I want to teach you something. It's not just talking to you. I want to teach you. In this word right here, let's scratch this out because that's just a vowel point, right? You got these two letters right here. When you look across over at this word over here called see, and then this is just, put in there, a man. Which letter would I use for see and which letter would I use for man out of these two letters?
Iron is for the sea,
Yes,
fish is for the man.
thank you. So the resh is for the man. Why the resh? The resh is the head of a man. That's what resh means, the head of a man. So when you talk about the skin, you're talking about see a man. When you say or, you're saying see a man. So when you look at a person, you're seeing a man. You're seeing the presentation of who they are. That's why a lot of people have a problem with what they look like because they don't like what they see. Okay. Because people look at you. I know a lot of people that I served as an esthetician. I would see people who had skin problems and they were ashamed of the way that they looked. They were humiliated by these raised red spots or this acne or this pus and, this blood coming out and all this kind of stuff. They were very ashamed of what they look like. And I resurrected some people in there. I resurrected people's faces. I brought them back. I made people look like movie stars after I was finished. I'm not bragging. I would, because I took it very seriously because I knew that it was a contamination and I wanted to get it out of their face for them. And I did that. Okay. But the only way I was able to do that was through skin cycles. I know how to master the cycles of the skin to get the skin to do what I want to. It's a very delicate situation because when you're going through a problem with your skin gets inflamed and it becomes hot. And that's what a lot of the Zazarat is about. It's about inflammation. And that's what causes pus and disease. It causes inflammation. So there's an inflammation that's going on with the skin. But the skin, as a Hebraic understanding, is to see a man. So when you see this person, this individual, you're going to be looking directly at that person. Yes. So we're talking, yes, we are. Praise Yah. Yes, Lucas, we are. Okay. All right. So here's a word that you find in your Torah portion about a mark or something that's on your skin, a strike on your skin, Okay. It's a mark. It's called a nega. That's what it is. It's a nega. Okay. And this is where you get your word in your derogatory term, N-I-G-G-A. Same word. This is why they call you what they call you. And this is the reason why our people should not use this term. This is why they say it's offensive. Because Hebraically, it means to be a mark and it means a strike. It means somebody hit you. How you were beaten, how your ancestors were beaten. They were receiving marks when they were being striked. That's why they call them the nega. Okay. So that's something that you find Hebraically inside of the scriptures. It comes from a Hebrew word called naga. And naga means to reach or to touch. So to reach out. So when Yah would give these people, he would say, listen, the hanegas, the ones that I'm reaching out to, I'm the one I'm touching you. I'm the one who's going to, because nega and naga go together. Naga is the root, to reach out and to touch. I'm going to reach out and touch you because I'm going to strike you. I'm going to give you a blow. And you're the hanega. Okay. And I'm going to put a mark on you. I'm going to put a strike on you. I'm going to put a scar on you. I'm going to put it on you. You're about to get beat. Okay. That's what it is. So when Yah does this, he's reaching out and he's touching. The Most High is touching you. Okay. So interesting, right? So what are the characteristics of the nega? What's the characteristics of the mark? Okay. The mark here is what the nega does. It spreads. It can either spread or it can fade. The Most High is concerned. Okay. So what happens is when the Most High gets angry at a person, right, for some of the things that they've done, right? So for example, we have Miriam. Miriam was Moshe's sister. Her and Aharon were talking crazy about Moshe. So what did Yah do? Yah struck her. And what he struck her with? He struck her with Zazara. So he gave her a nega. Then when he put the nega on her, he said, okay, you need to be put outside the camp. Okay. And in other texts, in text in Hebrew, said he literally said, I spat in her face. He spat in his daughter's face because she was being disrespectful. Okay. So she received the nega. Okay. On other kings, there's a king in chapter number 26 of 2nd Chronicles called Uzziah. Come on, work for me. Uzziyahu. Uzziyahu was a king that did everything that Yah asked him to do from Yahweh's perspective, and all of a sudden he got filled with pride. So the Most High hit him with a nega. You see? Then you're going to find in your Haftarah where somebody made the Most High angry, and he authorized the prophet to give this person a complete nega, meaning your whole entire skin to spread upon your whole body. Okay, so some of the characteristics is to spread and some are to fade. When something is fading, that means Yah struck you, but then he said, okay, now, I think you've learned your lesson, so I'll let it fade away. But if you don't learn your lesson, I'm going to let it spread, because it's going to spread, right? Because the things that you're doing, because remember, the outside is a reflection on the inside. So whatever's on the outside, if it's spreading on the outside, where it's visible, it's because it's spreading on the inside. It makes sense, right? So one part, like I told you about the 1 square inch of the skin, one part gets infected, this one gets infected, this, and then all of a sudden, all of it starts going. And then what the Most High is saying, something has to what? Has to cause it to what? Stop. I need you to stop it, right? And the only way that it can stop is by you doing something. Yah's the one striking. He said, but I want it to stop. Because if it doesn't stop and I don't isolate you, it's not going to stop. It's actually going to spread. So if you're gossiping or you're angry or you talking crazy or you slandering or all the things that we're going to talk about in a second, and you keep spreading this, I'm going to cause it to spread all over you. And then you're going to be further and further and further away from your healing. You see? So that's what the nega is. It can either spread or it can fade. Okay. There's another characteristic I want to tell you about. Your Torah portion is the nega, also the mark or the strike, can also be raised or it can be deep. By it being raised, it's using a word that has to do with, forgive me for that, that's the wrong color, and it went all the way wrong. The nega can either be raised or it can be deep. This mark can go raised or it can go deep. Raised is it exalts. So if it exalts, then you know something about pride. Okay. If it doesn't raise and is not swollen, because that's what the raised is swollen, there's something about pride that's involved. You have to look at that. If this mark is deep beneath the skin, then I'm telling you that it's something that's deeper that's going on inside of you. So are the two ways. So when I give you the nega, I'm talking to you through your skin. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. I'll tell you what it is. Okay. Just like if a person doesn't drink enough water or have enough fruits and vegetables, their skin starts getting blotchy, or they start losing the moisture to their skin. It's a science behind it. It's huge. I don't got the numbers about, I know it's $1 billion industry. I do know that. Okay. It says everyone who has Zazarah swords is to wear torn clothes and unbound hair and cover his upper lip and cry, unclean, unclean, Tommy, Tommy. As long as he has sores, he will be unclean. Since he is unclean, he must live in isolation. He must live outside the camp. Why? Because Yah lives among them. Okay. Why tear the clothes? Well, the clothes represent the covering. Okay. So if your clothes are torn, right? Because clothes have to do with this word called baged. Okay. Hebrew baged means to be either faithful or unfaithful. There's always a positive and there's always a negative. Being unfaithful means to be treacherous. I'm going to be treacherous with you. I'm not dealing faithfully with you. I'm lying. I'm deceiving. So this clothing has to do with deceit. That's the reason why the women, the Adam and Kuah, Adam and Eve, they made themselves clothes because they were trying to hide their deceit of what they've done. That means they have broken faith with Yah. You break faith with Yah, you're unfaithful. If you're unfaithful to Yah, Yah says, I'm going to strike you. And I'm going to give you the zazarat. I'm going to put the negas on you. And then when I put the negas on you, what you're going to do is you're going to try to hide it by putting clothes over it. Like your eczema or your psoriasis. You're going to try to cover it. You're going to be embarrassed. So you're going to try to take some medication to hide it. And you're going to try to cover it. So what you're doing is I want you to make sure that everybody knows that not only is your clothes torn, but your body is torn. You have openings in your body. So I want that to reflect on the outside. See, so when you cover something, you're covering the inside so nobody can see it on the outside. That's our nature. Our nature is to hide. Our nature is to deceive. Our nature is perverted. Our nature is twisted. Our nature, according to what David said, his mama got hot and that's what happened. So he said, that's the reason why I did what I did. But yet, even if that's the case, you still want truth on the inward part. You still want that to be made sure. So the clothes have to be torn because the clothes represents the body. You're covering your body, but it also means that you've been unfaithful. You don't get to hide among a congregation. You don't get to hide your faults in front of the congregation. I'm going to make it clear, and I want you to proclaim, like our word for our book called Wayikra, that means, and he called. Yah's telling you what I want you to do. I want you to call. I need you to cry out, Tommy, Tommy. And I want it to be seen. So you got to walk around with clothes that are torn, and you have to cover your lips, and you got to cry unclean, unclean. Why do I want you to cover your upper lip? Because that's what you used to talk about people. You know, you were crying out about other stuff. You're swearing against other people. You were slandering. I want your hair not to be nice and styled up, nice fade or none of that. You're going to have to unbound that. Why? Because you've been unfaithful. And guess what? You're going to go live in isolation. You're not going to live among the people. Because I have to make a distinction between that which is clean and unclean. And at this moment, you're going to have to say it with your own mouth. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. Your Torah portion comes every week with a haftarah. And I said, you know what? I remember what haftarah meant, but I just haven't, been on it for a minute. So I said, okay, let me go back and double check and make sure it means what it means. Haftarah is parting, okay? Parting. And what does it mean by parting? It means to make a division, right? To really open things up, to look at things for what they are. So every week you'll get a Torah portion. Your Torah portion was Zazarat. And then your Haftarah is in the book of 2 Kings, chapter number 4 and 5, where you get to take the time to do some parting. You get to isolate things and break it out and open it up and see what it's talking about. Because Zazarat is being used and mentioned in this Haftarah. The Haftarah, Zazarat, is talking about salvation. That's what's being mentioned. That's what's being talked about. There can be salvation for Zazarat. You said, well, what do you mean? I thought salvation was, Christ coming in the clouds and forgiving all my sins and dying on a cross. No, there's salvation in this idea of Zazarat. Okay? And what does salvation mean? Well, there's a prophet that is given in the book of 2 Kings, chapter number 4. His name is called Elisha. Elisha. It's not Elisha, it's Elisha. Elisha. Okay. And Elisha's name means salvation is my Elohim. So when you read the Haftarah, or you read any of the prophets, you have to look at what their names mean, because their name is their character, but Yah is telling you a story. Okay. So in this particular chapter, chapter number 4 and 5, the Most High, and also in chapter number 8, he's talking about the salvation of Yah. Okay. The salvation of Yah is not just Yah coming to get you. The salvation of Yah is for something to be removed from you, something that has to do with healing. Salvation is about healing. Okay. There's a man in the Haftarah named Naam. Okay. Now, Aman is one of the Assyrian soldiers from Aram. Okay. And his name means to delight or to be pleasant. You will see a story in the New Testament. I didn't want to put a slide in here, but you'll see it where Christ had asked somebody or told somebody to go dip themselves and then they would be healed. And then also too, there's a connection between that story and a centurion who wants Christ to heal his son and so forth and so on. So he sends him out, just sends a word, and that's it. The prophet Elisha is a prophet who has been able to do miracles that other prophets have not been able to do. Okay. So there's things that he was able to do that other people are not able to do. Okay. He did things that his predecessor, which is called Eliyahu, which is Elijah, he was not, that he didn't do. He asked for a double portion of what he has. So he was able to do more than what Eliyahu was able to do. Okay. So there's a whole bunch of things in which he has done, which you'll find in chapters number 4, 5, 6, you'll find it all over. And when you look at those stories, you'll see that he actually was involved in resurrecting a child from the dead. He was involved in a woman having a miraculous ability to pour oil into containers so she could get out of debt. And it all has to do with salvation. Okay. So he says his name means salvation is my El, or my El is salvation. Okay. And when you look at his name, you just chop it up. Okay. So El is Elohim. Okay. This I right here in Hebrew means my. That's what it is. That's all it is. Okay. And the Shah right here has to do with the shepherd, and shepherd has to do with salvation or protection. Okay. So salvation has to do with, that's why they call the word Yasha. There's that Shah right there. That Yah right there means he. He what? He saves. So Yah saves. Okay. So Yah is our only savior. And so Elisha is showing the children of Israel and a stranger, a foreigner, about Yah's salvation. That's why this man, Naaman, is the one that Yah is going to use. His name means to delight and to be pleasant. So Naaman, delight and pleasant, meaning not only in his personality, but also in his presentation. But you can't see it. Why? Because the commander of the king of Aram's army was highly respected, esteemed by his master, because through him, Yod-Heh-Waw-Heh brought victory to Aram. So that word victory right there, everyone, has to do with salvation. Yah brought salvation to Aram through this man. The one who's delight and the one who's pleasant. Okay? Now I want you to continue to remember the definition of his name, because it's going to show you the contrast between what is going on with him and what his name represents. So there's a contradiction in a way. Okay? So he was highly respected and he was highly esteemed. Well, for whatever reason, the Most High must have delighted in him. And he must have been pleasant to Yah, because Yah is going to do something for Naam. And Yah speaking to us through this man and through this experience. It was written in the annals of the kings for you and I, for the people who read the Torah. Because if you don't understand the Torah, you don't understand the Haftarah, and you can't do any parting, you won't know what Yah is saying. You won't understand it. But Yah brought salvation to Aram through this man. But although he was a brave warrior, he also suffered from Zazara. Okay? He was esteemed by his master, even though he has Zazara. He was the commander of the king of his army, and he was highly respected, but he has Zazara. He was able to receive victory and salvation, even though he has Azrael. He was brave, even though he has Azrael. So you ask yourself, although all these things and this situation that he was going through, he has Azrael. So he was unclean. See? So let's see here. I'm getting a little feedback. There you go. I'll put that there. All right. Sorry about that, everyone. I got kind of distracted. So he has Azra. So what was Naaman after? He was after healing. Salvation doesn't mean just, this abstract idea of you just being magically delivered from your sins, okay? Or someone coming in a cloud to get you. It means to be healed, okay? It means that he wanted to have this particular problem and condition of his skin removed. He wanted to remove from him because he had it. Now, in my research and my studying, he didn't have it from his birth. He developed it over time. Okay. So at one point, he was beautiful. He was delightful and he was very pleasant. The backdrop on this is now one of their raids into Jerusalem's territory. So now he's invading Israel. Aram carried away captive a little girl who became a servant for Naam's wife. She said to her mistress, who, the little girl? I wish my master could go to the prophet in Shamaron. He could heal his Zazarat. This was a little girl. Now, when they say this little girl, she was a little girl. She was not an older girl. She was a baby, like maybe 5, 6 years old. Okay. But I want you to remember little girl. That's what I want you to remember. Okay. So she said, I wish that my master could go to the prophet in Shamaron. He could heal his Azrael. Now, how did this little child, how does she know that? Interesting. She's only a little girl. Now, Naam, he went in and told his master, the Lord, the king, the girl from the land of Israel said such and such. That's interesting. He's listening to what the little girl said. The reason why he's giving attention to it, everyone, is because Naam, he wants to get relieved. He wants salvation. He wants a healing from this. This is bothering him. This is something that's really bothering him, okay? Now, the king of Aram said, go now, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel. So he sent out, taking with him 600 pounds of silver, 666 pounds of silver, 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of clothes. He brought the king of Israel the letter, which said, when this letter reaches you, you will see that I have sent my servant Naaman, which means delight and pleasant to you, so that you can heal his Zazaron. Okay. I put this text here because it's important to let you know that what he believed that he could do, he thought he can buy his way out of it. He thought he can buy his way. 6,000 pieces of gold. He brought literally a fortune. That's how bad he wanted to get rid of it. So he can be restored to being delight and pleasant. Okay. So that's what he's looking for. So he asked his master, the king, and guess what? The king of Aram is an enemy of Israel's. Remember, it said he was on a raiding party and he sent and he took the little girl captive. She's a captive. I don't want you to forget that the little girl was a captive. Okay. When the king of Israel finished reading the letter, he tore what? His clothes. Am I the Elohim able to kill and make alive? He asked, so he sends me a man to heal of Zazarat. You can see that he's only seeking an excuse to quarrel with me because the king of Israel is afraid of war and conflict with this man. because he's been raiding him, invading him and everything. And he's trying to find a way to make peace. So now we have a child who believes that Yah is able to do this through a prophet. And we have a king who doesn't believe that Yah can do it. Okay. In the sense that he's saying that I don't have access to Yah. Now, by the way, the kings of Israel, they only had evil kings. They never had a righteous king. They never had a king who did well. All of them were evil. All of them had went away from the Most High. All of them had broken faith with Yah. All of them have been in this manner. Where I told you, when you tear the clothes, it's a picture of being unfaithful. That's the connection. You see? He tore his clothes, right? Because of his unfaithfulness. If he had faithfulness, he would be able to call on one of Yah's men of the prophets and ask him to inquire of Yah, but he didn't do that. And the reason why this is important for us to understand is not because you and I are the king of Israel, not because you're evil. It's because Yah is trying to tell you not to be evil. He's trying to let you know what I consider to be unfaithful. What he's saying is this: if you go to anyone else to look for a result other than me, you're being unfaithful to me. Then that's evil. See, so tearing of the clothes is for the person who has been unfaithful to the Most High. This is an outward expression of deceit and unfaithfulness. See, so he's saying this man, this king of Aram, is treating me this way because he wants to start a fight with me. He's deceiving me. This whole letter right here. This is all so he can start a fight with me. You guys can see that he wants to start it. So he tears his clothes. But when Elisha, the man of Elohim, heard that the king of Israel torn his clothes, he sent a message to the king. Oh, interesting. Okay, we have a message to the king. Why did you tear your clothes? Remember, tearing your clothes has to do with the inside. It's an expression about what's really, okay, so you do that, tearing the clothes, which is the outside, to tell you about what's going on in the inside. He says, just have him come to me, and he will know that there is a prophet in Israel. See? So this is about him knowing, having an experience with a prophet in Israel. So what does Naaman do? He came with his horses and his chariots, and he stood at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to him, who said, go and bathe in the garden 7 times, just like your Torah portion, right? You got to wait 7 days. Your skin will become as it was. Now, that's where I was trying to let you know that at one point in his life, as it was, he didn't always have Zazarat. It will become as it was, past tense. He used to be beautiful and delightful. He was a handsome, probably a very handsome man, and you will be clean. See, so your skin is the communication, okay? So we're going to find out why the Most High gave this to him, okay? So this Naam, who has Zazarat, was not looking delightful, neither was he looking pleasant, but that also changed his behavior as well, which we're going to see in a second, okay? So Elisha gives him a command and sends out a messenger to him. Elisha did not go out and see him. Somebody tell me why.
You talking about the army?
Why didn't Elisha go out and to this man, to Naam? Why didn't he go out? Why didn't he send a messenger?
Yeah, unclean dude.
Thank you, Kent. He was unclean. He was unclean. He couldn't go out to him. But Naam, right? Naaman, when meaning delightful and pleasant, he became what? Angry, and he left, saying, here now, I thought for certain he would come out personally. So obviously, and I'm going to pause right here at this comma. Let's pause, because that's what a comma means. He thought that because he was a soldier, because he was this great man, that he felt like he should come out to him. But what he did when Naaman did not understand, he did not understand the Torah. He didn't understand the difference between clean and unclean. And that's what a lot of our people don't understand. And the reason why they don't understand that is because they don't seek their words from the Most High. The reason why you and I are learning about which is tahor or tameh, which is clean and unclean, is because the Torah is giving us insight and understanding about the difference. You and I would know not to go out to see this man. I had an uncle yesterday. My mother's birthday was yesterday. She died several years ago. And he called me and I didn't answer. And a good thing I didn't. He left a message for me and said, yeah, I went out to your mother's grave and sent me some pictures and put flowers on her grave. And he said, I did this for all of us. And I'm glad that I didn't answer the phone because I know that I would have gotten into some contention with him. Why? Because he would probably want me to go out to a grave site, right? To go stand on the grave of someone who's not there. It's the body of a dead person is in the grave. Yes, it's my mother. Yes, I love her. I love her. I do. I always love her. But I also know what the Torah says about going to a grave site. So the Torah opens your mind. I use that to let you know that the Torah tells you what the difference between clean and unclean is. It tells you what your boundaries are, and it tells you what your limitations are. Okay. This man right here, who's supposed to be delightful and pleasant, is showing that he's not delightful and he's not pleasant. He's not delightful and pleasant because he became angry and he left because he didn't understand. He didn't have an understanding of Yahweh's ways. He thought this man should come out, and he said that he would stand, talking about the prophet. He wanted Elisha to come out and stand, call on the name of Yahweh, his Elohim. So he knew what Yahweh's name was. He did his research and wave his hand over the diseased place on my body and thus heal the person with Zazarah. He thought this was going to be a magic trick. That's what he thought. That's what people want who don't know Yah. They want a miracle. See, he thought he'd just wave his hand over and the disease would leave. Poof, gone, poof, gone. See, and Yah doesn't want us to believe in magic. Okay. What Yah wants us to do in every situation that you would read about a miracle that Elisha did about Yah's salvation found in this man's name, going back to the woman that he gave the oil, you can read it in chapter number 4 and chapter number 5. Every last one of the people that he was dealing with, that he did something for them, they had to do something. And if they had to do something, that means that they had to follow a command. So there is no magic. There is a matter of obedience, and it's a matter of listening and following the instructions in order to achieve the goal that you want. Right? There was a quote that I read on Facebook that says, put your confidence in your goals, they'll lead you to where you want to be. Beautiful quote. The only way a person can put confidence in their goals, you see, is if they're willing to do the things that they need to do. It's not an abstract term. Confidence is doing. If you want to get to your goals in life, you're going to have to do things to get there. You don't just, it's not by osmosis. Okay. So that's why we're trying to shake off this Christianity, because they believe in magic. For us, it's a matter of doing what Yah says, is following the command. So this man was looking for a magic trick, and it didn't happen. He wanted Yah to heal him. He wanted Yah to remove this problem from him. Okay? And this is a process. And the only way that we're going to learn is, and learning from him today, is the only way that this is going to ever be achieved is if we do what he says. Now listen to this. So now Aman came with, okay, I already read that. So did I read that part? Oh, okay. Skipping this. Oh, internet's tripping. Let me get out of here for a second, you guys. Let me see. Oh, here it is. It's slowing down. Okay. All right. So he went off in a rage. I'm going to take a pause right quick. And I want to tell you about this word called mikya. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So now that this man is left in a rage, he's upset. All right. This is word in the Torah that I found, is also in a whole bunch of other places that I was doing my research and found. It's called mikya. Okay. And what mikya means, it means oh boy, Mikaya. The me right there is who, and the Kaya is the one who lives. Okay. Your Torah portion, it talked about this word. Okay. And so when I looked it up, I was like, okay, Mikya. Okay, Mikya or Mikaya, depending on how you pronounce it, it has a certain meaning. Okay, it means who lives. I thought, okay, well, what does it mean? Also, what's the extended meaning? It has an extended meaning, mean revival. And when talking about who lives, what it's talking about is whether or not something is that has been living somewhere, right? Like, for example, Zazarat can live. It could be inside of you and you don't even know it's there. It can have a revival. Okay, it can have a revival. So there's a positive aspect of something being revived, and there's forgive you guys, forgive us, something going on. There's a positive and there's a negative charge to this word. Okay. Revival means be brought back to life, right? So for example, in Zazarat is to bring the skin back to revive it to its natural state, or it can be, to cause something to have life again, to revive it. Okay. But there's also a negative. The negative on it is that it's been there. It's been living, it still lives, but it hasn't been released yet. And when it does get released, it's going to bring upon destruction. Okay. So one part of it is positive, which is the life part of it. And the negative charge of it is the destruction, because it is living, but the way that it's living is living in secret. Okay. So there was times when Zazarat was healed, and then obviously after it got healed, it came back. Okay. It was still there. It came back. So the one who lives. So it means that something is living. So who lives? So when we look at Mikya or Mikaya, is talking about living. Okay. The word for life is called Kaya, which you have right here. That's life. Okay. And me is who. So when it talks about Mikya and it talks about raw flesh and talking about something coming back, it's like it's something that's reviving itself. You got to ask yourself, what is it? And the answer is in the word, who. Okay. So we got to look at who lives. And for us, it's who lives in a certain manner, right? How are we living and what's inside? That's what you need to be concerned with. Okay. So what's inside of us is how we really live. That's the true essence of who we are. So who lives in anger? Who's living in greed or gossip or slander or jealousy or deception, cruelty and pride and selfishness and rebellion? These are all the things that people do that causes them to have Zazarat. In every part of your study, when you look at the king, the Uzziah, the one I mentioned to you before, he was full of pride. Once he got to a certain point in his life, he didn't think he needed Yah anymore. He went past the boundaries in which Yah set. When you look at Gehazi in chapter number 5, he got full of greed. He had some greed issues. He went to the man and he was jealous. And he said, well, no, I ain't gonna let him go. He's gonna give us something. He's gonna pay for this. So he went to him and he started asking for all these different types of things, right? Selfishness, greed, all these things. That's all part of it. Okay. You look at Miriam, what was going on her? She was dealing with gossip and she was dealing with slander and she was dealing with jealousy of Moshe saying, I'm a prophet too. She was selfish. She got lifted up in pride. So these are all the little check boxes that you can look at. And so, okay. So when you look at this, you can see this. So what happened with Dawid? Dawid saw what another man had and he got what he wanted. He was jealous of that. He had pride, he had selfishness, and therefore he rebelled. He was cruel, he killed the man. Then he tried to hide it, deception. You see? You guys see it? He was greedy. The Most High said, I gave you a whole bunch of other wives. Why'd you take that man's wife? You see? So you might not have all of these different things in your life, but you might have some of them. And these are the things that are deep in you that you don't have a clue about. Okay, but it's living inside of you like Zazarat, lives inside of a person and it resurrects, it revives itself and it comes out. So when you see any of these things moving forward as the children of Israel, when you see any of these things in you, you need to go to Yah and you need to ask what Dawid did in chapter number 51 to make you clean. You need to ask God to remove anger from you. It's not going to serve you well. Whatever you and I feel and whatever we do is in the inside is going to be reflected on the outside. You can't hide these things. It's found, anger is found in your expressions. It's in your face. You can't hide that. You could try to hide your grief, but it's going to come out. If you're running your upper lip like the Zazarat person was, and you're talking, you're slandering like Miraim, and you're jealous of what someone else has, that's something that's living inside of you. And you and I have to deal with it. And we have to ask God to purify us, because remember, we don't have a priest to go to right now to purify us from these things. We have to go directly to the Most High and ask him. This is something that's mikya. Mikya, okay? That's the M-I, but guess what? In Hebrew, it would be meek. Yeah. That's how you pronounce it. It's not me, it's not my, it's meek. Meek, yeah. Who lives? Here's another way that you can look at meek, yeah. Check this out. Let's don't go too fast. Who lives? I just asked you a question. Who lives? Who lives? As I who?
Y'all live.
Yah lives. So when you talk about Yohe Wahe, right? Yahweh, he's the one who lives. And if he lives, and we know he does, then how should you and I live? He told you to be Kadosh, but I'm a Kadosh. That means that you need to have a mindset that's in line with Yah. So the meek Yah, again, can have a positive or it can have a negative. It's up to you. Which way do you want to do it? See, because if Yah's living inside of us, okay, you and I are not going to harvest. Listen, going back to the idea of the hyssop, okay, the zahab, the ezov. You and I are not going to harvest inside of us any of these things, because if you don't deal with these things, if you just let them go, it's going to come back. It's going to revive itself. If you don't root it out of the ground, it's going to be there. If you've been holding on from your childhood and you're upset with the way you were done when you were a kid, that's not serving you well. You're going to harvest that. So it's not about a threat that the Most High has given to you. I'm going to hit you with Zazarat. He's telling you, as a result of you being who you are, you're naturally and organically going to get this. Okay. I'm going to have to strike you because that's who I am. I'm going to strike you for these things. I don't want these people with these types of things in my community, because if you're in my community, you're going to spread all this inside of my community. And instead of my place and my house being a place and a family of peace and shalom, you're going to turn it into a place of slander and jealousy and deception. And these things right here are not good for you, Yisrael. We have people here that are over hundreds of people. We have CEOs online right now. In this class right now, we have scholars and professors that understand, and business owners that know, that have employees that know, and our families that know, if you let these things continue in your house or in your business or in your corporation or in your company, in your team, I don't care if they're playing sports, if these things are there, your harvest is going to be terrible. Therefore, you cannot let it spread. You have to put a stop to it. You understand? And that's what this teaching is for. It's for us to know what you and I have to work on. Okay, and we have to put a stop, because he who lives telling us we can't live like that. So going back to Naaman, he says, but his servants approached him and said, my father, if the prophet had asked you to do something really difficult, wouldn't you have done it? So doesn't it make sense, even more sense to do what he says? When it's only bathe and be clean? So he went down and he immersed himself 7 times in the Yarden, as the man of the Elohim had said to him. Now, I put the man of the Elohim because that's what it says in Hebrew. It doesn't say the man of God. It says the man of the Elohim. He said to do. He did what he was said to do. He did what the man of the Elohim had said to do. And his skin was restored and he became like the skin of a child. he became clean. Why did I highlight the skin of a child? Because I told you to remember the child. I told you to remember the little girl. What had to happen, everyone, is he had to humble himself like a child. That's why this word right here is my father. He had to humble himself before the Most High. He had to listen to the words of the Most High. He had to obey the words of the Most High. He had to do what Yahweh said. And as a result of that, he's restored. And his skin became the skin of a child, which I told you that the skin of a child recycles every 7 days. The Most High restored him back to being a delight and being pleasant. And as a result of that, his attitude changed. Then with his whole retinue, going back with the chariots and everybody, he returned to the man of the Elohim and went and stood before him. So now he's in the presence of the men of Elohim, because now he's been made clean. Well, I have learned that there is no Elohim in all the earth except in Israel. Therefore, please accept a present from your servant. But Elisha answered, as Yahweh lives, that's the one who lives, before whom I stand, I will not accept it. And despite his urging him to take it, he refused. And that's one of the reasons why I don't ask people to give me money, because it's not about paying or you paying to get a word from Yah. And that's one of the benefits that we've gained, all of us, since we've been in this way of life. I can't tell you how much money I've saved from not being pressured to give money to people that I know they ain't following what's right. Back to the story, I digress. Listen, he learned that there's no other Elohim on the earth. I want to end the study by saying this. There is no other Elohim on the earth. Our Elohim is the only Elohim on the earth. He's the only one in all the earth. He's the only one who made the whole entire earth. There is no other Elohim except in Israel. Everybody else is worshiping an idol. If you don't worship the Elohim of Israel, you are worshiping idols. You see? And he came to understand that. Do you see? So if this man understood that, then surely the children of Israel should understand it. Okay. Of course, there's more to this story about Gekazi and being selfish and greedy, and his Azarat that was on Naaman was now given to Gekazi and his whole entire family because of his greed, because of his motives and his intention. Okay. So today, I hope that you were able to gain some understanding about what Yah is talking about how the Zazarat can impact you, how that which is on the inside is what's definitely going to be reflected on the outside. It is. It's definitely going to be that. Okay. He's restored. Salvation is a removal. Now, one other thing that I wanted to share with you is like, okay, so you don't have to see Yah. Okay. That's another part. Before I close, let me just say this. That was a part that I wanted to make sure that I mentioned. Remember, he was upset because he said, I thought that he would come out. Here it is. He sent a messenger and he said, go out and bathe in the yard. And he said, hey, but now he became angry and he left saying, here now, I thought for certain he would come out personally. This is where you and I will make a mistake of thinking, because his name is salvation. So you and I would think that Yah would need to come out personally for us to be saved and to be delivered. And that's not true. Yah's salvation is not one where Yah has to come out. He doesn't have to come out. You don't have to see Yah. And this is the reason why people choose to follow Christ, because it says that he did come out personally to meet them, see them, and then they proclaim the Yah as a man. Salvation doesn't have to be obtained through that way. My Elohim doesn't have to come out and see you while you're in your state of uncleanness. My Elohim is going to come and see you when you and I are made clean. To make us clean. Praise the mighty Yahweh. You have any contributions that you like to make? Comments?
Now, we have a question.
Yes.
When you were talking about the leprous man, that his clothes were to be ragged, he was to be isolated, and unbound hair. What does that phrase unbound hair means?
Oh, so for example, a lot of them they would have their hair wrapped up and, they would look presentable, right? So for example, the priest, it just let loose. That's what it means to come unrestrained. So no hair up, like how my hair is right now. I got it all pinned up and I got it back and all this kind of stuff. He's saying, no, let it go. Let go.
Okay,
Right.
so
Go
I
ahead.
don't know why I'm thinking that. Weren't lepers supposed to shave their heads?
Well, some that had scabs in their hair or in their beard. So in order to find out whether or not it's spread, they would have to shave their head, but they couldn't shave the spot where the zazarat was. They'd have to not shave that part, but shave all the rest of it. Okay. So there's different types of zazarat where it can happen. Zazarat can happen in your clothes. It can happen in a building. It could be a person, place, or thing. It can happen on your skin.
Okay.
Right. So it could be anywhere. But I'm glad you brought that point out about letting the hair down. Letting the hair down means when Yah says to let your hair down, he's saying let it go. Let it go. Listen, whatever you're doing, right? I need you to let it go. Let go. Let it go. Stop.
Okay.
Because that's what it is. Because what they were doing is they kept spreading stuff and they start contaminating everybody else. That's why I got to get you out the camp.
Okay,
See, so that's what it means.
okay, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Praise the mighty Yah. You can start recording, Cisco. So yeah, let's get started, you guys.